Save up as much money as you possibly can before you go.
Living in a place like Melbourne is similar kind of price to London for living, and it made me very aware of how much I was spending.
Definitely keep on top of all of the forms.
Research what funding might be available in the country, because I know, like for example with France they have the CAF, but there could be other countries that have another similar government funded bursary.
It's like Sainsbury's and Tesco's because the food shopping in Canada is really expensive, so you kind of appreciate Lidl a lot.
Advise trying to get accommodations maybe closer to where you work or study, and then you don't have to pay so much for transport costs.
You can walk everywhere in Cardiff. I would never have to get a bus or a taxi if I wanted to, whereas when I was away it was so cold you'd have to get taxis to town, or you'd have to rely on public transport for your day-to-day running of life.
Obviously a lot harder to budget when there's so many fun things to do and trips to go on. So I'd say my top tip would probably be just to be aware of how much money you're spending out there.
I made sure I got the cheapest flight for layover and arrived at these places, and I had to go, oh wait, I need to have a bit of money, because you don't always get those bursaries or whatever immediately.
I found within the first week, because I was buying cereal and other staples I used to eat for breakfast or whatever throughout the day, I found that it was very expensive buying stuff that I eat here, and I should instead rely on food that the locals ate, so like noodles, like rice.
Justify my budget over time was I was sharing a room, which meant my rent was halved, so that money was allocated as my living allowance.
Don't get excited when you get that grant at the beginning, because that's for the whole year and you need to make it last the whole year, otherwise you will have a lot of arguments with your parents on the phone.
A tip I'd give is to write down how much you're spending and how much you're willing to spend on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis, and try and stick as close as you can to that plan.
I used my normal bank account from the UK, and I did also have a Monzo card for overseas, so I sometimes took money out on that, but I'd transfer money straight from my bank account over. And I used that bank account because the Erasmus grant was going into it, and so was the student finance.
I didn't open a bank account because the minimum time you could have it was for 12 months.
But in the end I barely used it because it was actually more expensive for me to do foreign transfers.
Be aware that in France and in other countries you do get charged on a monthly basis for having a bank account. I really recommend just making sure you get a good card that has a good withdrawal rate. So I used Monzo. That really helped me to budget and allowed me to take out a good amount of money each month for no charge.